Words are instructions to your subconscious mind. Hey ladies, I'm Carmen from EnlivenYou, and today I want to talk about something really powerful to your emotional well-being, which is language. Language is a big part of neurotransformational therapy because language is the bridge between your inner world and your outer life results. But before we dive in, I want to be real with you for a moment. Even though I do this work professionally, my mind can still be incredibly negative. Some days, especially if I've been triggered into a past wound, I can feel very self-critical, very harsh on myself, and just exhausted. But as I've become aware of what my mind does, I've committed to doing the work. And while the work is not complete, because the work is never complete, I feel very confident because I know that I have a toolbox, and that's where the power lies. It's in knowing that you are prepared so you don't get lost in the spiral, so you can catch it and shift it and move forward. So I want you to imagine this. You've gone to a new city and you've got a map to find your way around. And you can only go to places that is on the map because you don't know what's outside of the map. And that is very similar to language. Our language is the map that we use to understand ourselves and the world around us. If our language is limited, then the destinations that we reach emotionally and mentally will also be limited. You'll keep circling back to the same old stories, the same past wounds, and the same dead ends. But when you update that map, you expand your language and you unlock new ways to see things, new perspectives, new solutions, and more empowering ways of being. You open doors to places you didn't even know existed. Do you ever catch yourself saying things like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to change, I'm always stuck? Whether you realize it or not, thoughts like this are spinning around our minds all day long. And I don't know about you, but I've always just dismissed it as background noise. If it can't be heard, then it doesn't matter. But science now tells us otherwise. Our thoughts change our brain activity, which then determines our feelings, our behaviors, and our choices. But let's be real, forcing positive thinking is a toxic cycle of its own. And that is not what this is about. This is about knowing that you have the power to change your own thoughts if you want to. So let me ask you something. If your mind was a garden, and we've all heard this before, would you be planting weeds or wildflowers? The thoughts that we use, especially the ones that we repeat silently, are like seeds, and they influence ultimately our emotions and choices and subsequently our lives. So let's explore some tools that can help us shift our thought patterns and the way that we speak to ourselves. In neurotransformational therapy, we use a model called the meta model, and this is adapted from the more well-known neuro-linguistic programming. This is used to challenge and ultimately rewire limiting beliefs, because that is what our negative thoughts are arising out of usually. So there are three core patterns of language: generalizations, distortions, and deletions. Generalizations are things like, I'm never good enough, I always mess up, nobody likes me. Logically, if we thought about it, we would know that these aren't really true, but the subconscious mind doesn't work like that. It works off patterns and repetition and emotion. So how do we challenge these thoughts? You ask yourself another question. You catch the thought and you say to yourself, is that really true? For example, if you said to yourself, nobody likes me, and that might come as words or feelings or a sort of a bit of both. Ask yourself, is that really true? Even the neighbor that doesn't even know me. And then you can ask yourself, who specifically doesn't like me? If you genuinely stop and ask those questions, yes, it might feel uncomfortable because the thought is likely emotionally charged, but this is where we can start to break the pattern. The moment that you challenge that thought, you loosen its grip on you and give space for something else to open. Something that's a bit more kinder, softer, and more true. If we don't challenge this thought, it's going to keep running the show on autopilot. Distortions and deletions are just as important, and I've created a free PDF worksheet with the link in the description below, going into what these are and simple practical exercises on how to shift them when they arise. Another powerful technique is called rephrasing, and this is just saying what you've said again, but from a more grounded, loving, and empowering perspective. For example, he's not coming over tonight because I'm not fun enough. Can be changed to, he might be tired or going through something, and what he might need is just some rest and alone time. That doesn't mean anything about me necessarily. And let's just be clear, rephrasing might not remove the frustration or the sadness around it, but just like previously, it loosens the grip that original thought has on you. It gives you just enough space to breathe and start to do the deeper work. What it does for you is it can allow you to start to see that original thought might not be the only option. There's more than one possibility, more than the one that you originally thought, which is the most painful, negative, personal one. So over time, with repetition, these practices become second nature, and you go from being a critic to a coach as your inner voice transforms. At first, it might feel forced or awkward. Sometimes we cling to these old thought patterns because they are familiar, and also because they reinforce the limiting beliefs, which can weirdly give us a comforting sensation. But the more you do this, the easier and quicker it becomes, and eventually redirecting your mind becomes second nature. So just know that this is not fluff. When your brain hears new language, it forms new emotional pathways. You're essentially saying to your nervous system, we've got this, we're safe. You step outside of the old neural loops that were keeping you stuck and into new awareness with new solutions. Sometimes even the awareness around it gets you to realize that what you thought was a problem isn't even really a problem. It's simple, but it's powerful. And like anything that works, it takes practice. Show up, stay present and aware, keep doing the work. Here's a little exercise you can try. For the next 24 hours, just note down anything negative that you said to yourself when you're aware of it. And then see if you can then challenge that thought with one of the tools that I've mentioned. Ask yourself, how can I rephrase this? Or is this really true? And don't forget, I have added a worksheet with a description on how to do this. Remember, your words are not just sounds, they are instructions to your subconscious mind. They are energy in motion, and they are the foundations of your beliefs. So speak life into your journey, speak power into your growth, and most importantly, speak to yourself like someone that you deeply love. If this resonated with you, give it a like and subscribe. Maybe share it with someone that you know needs to hear it. And keep watching out for new videos if you would like more tips on how to stay emotionally well and grounded.